Hello, everybody. Looking at warnings on my computer. Everything should be good. Hopefully, we're live and we're with you. It's Sunday. It's the chat. It's me and Rasa. Hello, Rasa. What's going on?
Hello, hello, hello.
We're
Um,
back.
yeah, all is good. I'm busy gardening like a maniac.
Excellent.
But yeah, that actually prevents me from reading comics in a way.
Right.
But this happens. Spring, and then it's gonna
Yep.
quiet down. Now it's a busy moments because I have bonsais and
Getting
all
everything
that.
started. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just
Yeah.
becomes in the plan, and then our lawnmower decides to pack up like always.
Yep.
And like you have to mow the lawn because everywhere else nice and neat, and yours is like bush.
Right. Right. Damn neighbors
Yeah,
upkeeping their yards.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So that was interesting. So we had to basically, well, kind of needed to, because like we have to keep up with the neatness of the gardens anyway.
Yep.
um so went to buy the battery powered,
Oh, nice.
which is great. But smaller version what we had beforehand.
Hmm.
But battery powered, so I can charge. I have solar system, the tiny solar system at
Amazing.
home, because I'm curious about that. I'm renting, by the way. People don't not realize. So when you
Right. Right.
rent, you can't have what you want.
Yep.
So I just kind of did it with my own input. So I have something like for summertime, I try to use less electricity from the main source.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's nice. It's a kind of like it's basically paced by itself for itself because you're not using anything else to do work with.
Yep.
So anyway, I
And
just
it's
like
much
it.
quieter, I'm assuming, too, right? Like it's not
It
as.
is actually. I was very surprised how quiet it is because I
Yep.
do see people, neighbors as well, using something similar. They're much more
Hmm.
powerful, I guess, than mine, because mine is like a small garden. But like when you have to purchase something which you don't want to purchase, you kind
Yep.
of go to alternatives. But this is like there's cheap shops here, German based, which they sell like really nice gardens, like quality garden tools slash not like a beginner tool kind of sets and stuff. So
Right.
you
Yep.
can don't have to break your bank in order to do that. Hello, Donald.
Hello, Donald Rex.
So yeah, so that's my kind of hectic gardening head,
Yeah.
full through. And my son's first week of after holidays going to school, so you
Hmm.
have to get in that rhythm, and it's
Right.
not easy. You think, oh my god, when he goes on holiday, what I'm going to do? Then holiday finishes, I don't know what I'm going to do. He's going back to school, so you kind of
Right.
like
Right.
keep on that stupid thing.
Yeah, you
And
get used to having them around, right? You get used to kind of having that time together.
you have to watch Picard series if you are at
Oh, right.
all interested in Star Trek,
It's a
and
good
is at
episode.
all, yeah, they basically gave them a swan song of the creators of or actors of um, the new generation Star Trek, because they're
Yep.
all there, all the pensioners doing their jobs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
Puttering around the starship.
going out with a glory. We went out with a glory. I think that's why I do enjoy Star Trek as much as I always had. They
Hmm.
really care about the storyline. They came back to tell the story, which was intriguing to right to the end. Kind
Right.
of like really, if you're, as I say, if you're a fan of Star Trek, I think you will be going like really excited about it, and you will say, "Why he's finishing?" But in the way you're happy it's finishing for the actors and all that stuff. So kind
Yeah.
of double thought process for that, kind of thing. But
Right.
damn, that was good. That was like I could watch another 10 of those episodes.
Yes, that's awesome. That's the best when they can make you want more. That's some good writing
It's
right there.
like basically going back where I was so amazed by Star Trek, like the
Yep.
Next Generation, and I was, it's kind of now thinking about it, it's like really one area, one place they're really doing all the acting and scenes, and they kind of like go to places to discover and stuff. But
Hmm.
it's kind of basic, but the idea, the way acting goes, the storylines they want to portray or tell, and the pick
Yep.
actors, and they all of them came back, a part of the, because some of the characters has died, so they can't come back.
Mhm.
But they got mentioned, like Will Wheaton's, what is his name? Will Wheaton's character.
Yep.
He died in one of the movies, I presume.
Mhm.
And so, but he was mentioned there, and then you just see them, and like being that age of theirs, and you're like, they're moving like, you know what? If I age this well, Jesus, I will be lucky as hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so it's like beautiful to look at, and kind of sad for them. It looks like they were really like sentimental as well.
Yep.
Like you looked like they really believed in the last thing they wanted to do, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, if you
Yeah, I
can,
mean, it's a great idea to have characters that you, the audience, kind of age with. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're not exactly their age, it's you're
Yeah.
older than when you watch the show, so you feel that sense of time in your own life. It's. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a pretty neat thing. What was that? There was the Clint Eastwood Western. Was it Unforgiven? Was that what it was? Where basically he revives kind of his Western character as an old man, and it was just such a powerful movie for some of those similar reasons, like what happens to these people when they get in their kind of imaginary world that they have. It's
Yeah.
I think it's cool, a little bit of humanity to the characters.
And Data is one of the favorites of the new generation because of the way actor was portraying the character, and now they took Data to where Data's dream was all about. So it was fantastic, and even like as I say, acting was spot on. I don't know. I don't pick on acting. Maybe there were some things, but like people always can find something they don't like about it. But I really enjoyed it, and they all had that, like that a little bit like, like that nostalgic sense of like 90s, like the way they act and the scenes picked. But they like really were. I was surprised how true to what Star Trek was in there, to how they ended in this Picard series is fantastic. And not spoiling it, but they always will leave a window or a door open for something new, and hopefully, I'm trying not to spoil, because I would be extremely excited if they would have a new series with that character in particular, which I'm not saying. But I would watch it, like just put it on telly. I'll be there for sure. So really made me excited about it. So
yeah. Cool. So are they doing another season of Picard, or is that it for this series now?
I think it is it, because the way they ended.
Okay.
There's no I don't know what you want to return to, because
right.
It seems like they just gave them, as I say, that last thing, it's just like chapter end for sure. That there's the dot. That's it. There's nothing else to come after that. It just felt like
Yeah.
So yeah, but I know, like I was reading some of the people's and I was as excited as well. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't watch any TV stuff this week, but I did watch. I mean, it took me kind of 4 sittings to watch it because it's long. But I watched that. It's the Living the Line channel. They did the interview with Jose Villarrubia, I think is how you pronounce his last name. And it was fucking outstanding. And even though they were talking about, like, they really got into the weeds technically about coloring and the process of recoloring. So there was absolutely some stuff that went a mile over my head where I could kind of glean a little bit of what they were saying. But it was just such a great conversation with him because he just seems so passionate. So he's the one that's recoloring the Corbin for the Dark Horse
why
books.
It's like the name you keep on saying.
So he's been showing some samples on his social media, on his Instagram and on his Twitter. And they show a bunch of samples during the interview as well too. But he talks about his time knowing Corbin and working with Corbin, and Corbin kind of seeing some of his recoloring and kind of giving him that's the thumbs up, like the thumbs up from the creator, recoloring some of his stuff, saying like, yeah, no, that looks beautiful. That's what I intended. That's, because obviously back in the day when he was dealing with coloring his comics, seeing it in print was apparently the first time. Villarrubia was saying that it was the first time he would ever see the finished thing. They wouldn't be, especially with the amount of work he was doing it, he would never see any preliminaries to see how it would turn out. So he would
Oh,
always just see the final product out on the shelf. So
oh,
if there
okay.
was something that was like wrong or not how he wanted it, it was too
Mhm.
late. It was already out there in the world, right? So it was such a fantastic conversation because he's legitimately a comics fan. He recolored some Bernie Wrightson for the Swamp Thing Omnibus, the second one, I think. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't scratch all that. I'm not sure which ones he recolored. He did do some recoloring of some Swamp Thing. I can't remember if it was the Wrightson stuff or not, but he was showing kind of comparisons of kind of what the original looked like,
Mhm.
what the kind of other, if there was other additions throughout the world, then what the recolored version looked like, and then what he did. And it was just so amazing to see it laid out side by side, to see like, yeah, no, that looks better. One of his big things was about the paper. He's like, listen, this paper ages. That's part of what makes this stuff so good. And he found a way, because I find like when Piscor does it with his stuff, when
Mhm.
they do that kind of tanned paper, it looks artificial.
Yeah.
Villarubia is a little more subtle with that kind of coloring of the paper, right? So it's not kind of in your face. But the other fascinating thing about it all was, even for the Corbin stuff, he's like, I have versions of Corbin's work from all over the world. So I was sampling from a bunch
Oh.
of different editions, because in some of them, maybe the magenta looked really good. In some of them, maybe it was a
Mm.
little darker or lighter. So I could see some of the colors a little better, and kind of used all of that information to come to the final piece. So I'm super excited. I ordered Murky World, comes out this next week, I think, from Dark Horse. And then the volume 1 of Den comes out. I think it's in August. So I've ordered them both through my comic shop already, just to make sure that I get copies. Now,
Mhm.
when I looked at the Murky World one, it didn't have him credited. It was a part of me. It was a weird little description, whereas the Den had him very upfront as the guy who recolored it. But I figure, I mean, I've got a lot of that stuff already, but I want these. I'm really looking forward to his Blood Star, actually, because I love that book, first of all. And I think to see his coloring in that, I think is going to be outstanding, because it really does look like you're going to see some of this stuff again for the first time, just due to the process he used, right? So yeah.
So are you saying it's like in the graphic, like a hardcover format you're talking about
Collection.
this?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't know how many they're planning to do. I've only heard of Bloodstar Den and Murky World, but again, like, I'm so far out of that previews kind of world. I'm sure that been a bunch more announced. I just don't know. Those are the only ones I've heard about.
Mhm.
But I mean, and I hope they kind of do them consistently, not like the Mobius stuff. I hope they have a lot kind of in the barrel ready to go, so they can roll them out, right? Because it
Like
would be
it's
good to kind of get a nice Corbin
mhm.
library from them.
It seems like the Dark Horse is getting a second wind. I mean, they went really quiet for a very long time, and it seems to be getting back the things like Star Wars now. I don't know what's happened there. How Marvel gave them
Mm,
back that thing, and Marvel has it already in production, and they have it already in production. So, what the hell is going on there? Because I
right.
like yourself, I am not in that previous world, and I'm really not tactical looking exactly what's happening and whatever it is. Like,
Yeah.
yes, if you would be going to comic book shop, you probably would get that news like instantaneously. But
Yeah.
for me, I don't really go in there, and I don't really like. I don't even email to my guy saying like what is happening. I just know whatever. It's just maybe it's too late for me afterwards as well if I don't know something comes out and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting how Dark Horse is getting that second wind, which is absolutely fantastic. It was like feeling like they're about to crash and never return, and
Hmm.
and knowing how good of production they do, especially in collected editions, it would be so sad if they would have disappeared. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now if those kind of creators are coming back with recreated coloring of Corbin especially, so it's
Hmm.
fantastic. For people who
Super.
enjoys Corbin especially, and him for getting that ability to do so. I mean, it's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely. And I mean, again, like, the thing that really encourages me is the fact that, hey, Andrew Lopez, how are you? The
So
thing that's super encouraging is that he got the thumbs up from Corbin himself. You know what I mean? So it's not like after the fact, and I think that he would have appreciated. It's like, no, he got the A-OK from the man himself. Like, that's thrilling to me. But honestly,
Mm.
it's like I said, it's a very long interview. Like I think it was 3 or 4 chunks that I watched it in, pieces at a time. They go
Mhm.
into the weeds afterwards. They talk about a whole bunch of things like AI, and talk about just comics in general. And he talks about kind of his time and working in comics and things. And seems
Yeah.
like a really, really nice guy. He seemed also pretty thrilled to talk to these guys, because obviously they know that language of the so he could talk to them in a much different way.
Mm.
He's, and because at one point he's like, are your viewers gonna be able to even follow this conversation? This is so in the weeds that we're talking here. And they're like,
Mm.
yeah, don't worry about it. The ones that'll understand will understand, and the ones that don't, it's fine, don't worry. This is what we want to talk about. So
Yeah.
hell of a guy, super exciting. And again, like seeing those samples, oh my god, I'm so excited to see this final thing. Very, very excited.
Cool. I finished
Yeah.
the Clone Wars.
Oh, you
Oh,
did.
yeah, and wow, very emotional right at the end.
Was it good?
Absolute.
Yeah.
It's really like like if you just watched Star Wars movies, whatever the ones you watched, it explains hell of a lot in Clone Wars.
Right.
It's not. I'm not confused anymore. It's like I used to be confused.
Right.
Why is this doing that? What's happened? Why is there such a drama in this sense? Clones in
Mhm.
general, I wasn't even aware the clones were all this Hufflepuff made by the bad
Boba
guy
Fett.
Seth
Yeah.
since whatever his name is.
Right. Right.
And then that he used Boba Fett as a strong DNA suit, and they all of them looked exactly the same. And I've never. And then they became the troopers, and I realized wearing kind of at the beginning clones. They were wearing those helmets, and now they were the troopers. They're kind of similar to the clones, but they won really, and it's just like interesting. But animation wise, honestly, the more I was watching, the more I was like, wow, this really, it's like really not. No, like they're going to every emotional levels of
Right.
characters, and how Anakin was basically unsure himself with such a immense power, and this guy who is basically by just having general conversations has manipulated his head to the point because he's like high octane person and like overreacts quickly. He thinks everything like like if he doesn't help then it's a big deal. So never people down there like, come on, calm down. And it seems to be the Jedi Order was part of it were like kind of pushing him into the same directions without knowing. Even Yoda, the clever Yoda, who you would thought had so much power
Yeah.
in himself, was in a way clueless until right the end,
Right. Right.
which is because he was clouded also because his human part of an element, like that,
Right.
or element of your being, always you see what she's right in front of you. So
Right.
yes,
Right.
and
Well, and then you
as
grow into that wisdom too, right? Like
yeah,
these
yeah,
characters
and
weren't
how
always wise.
it explains to you how he was training Luke Skywalker, how
Uh-huh.
he found out about well, he didn't know about Luke in general, but he knew about a new Skywalker, and he got really like mesmerized. What the hell is happening? Who is Luke? Like another Skywalker? Because by Jedi's order, you're not allowed to have partners like marriage.
Oh, yeah.
So they were secretly in cahoots together.
I see.
That's why you have Luke, and then you have his sister Mary,
Yeah.
Leia, because of they weren't supposed to be there, but they are. They were,
Mhm.
So, but they don't really show that part. In the way, it shows you like things happening, and suddenly you see just Darth Vader's face, and then you're
Mhm.
like, oh shit. And that famous voice, of course, of that
Yeah. Yeah.
actor. So it's honestly, wow, to be honest, I really enjoyed the Clone Wars.
That's
Kind of
amazing. Yeah.
I know why people are like really love Clone Wars and how
Yeah.
many people are like such a fans of it.
Yeah. It's the one that gets raved about the most. I've only seen a couple episodes, but I should
Yeah.
continue on with it. But yeah, it gets a lot of praise, that one for sure.
So would you call a person who likes Star Trek and Star Wars together? Because I can't go both ways now.
Someone who's got shit figured out and doesn't feel the need to go to one camp or the other. That's open-minded enough to just enjoy things as they are, instead of like you have
Yeah,
to hate one to love the other.
yeah.
Just the stupidest
It's just
fucking thing.
it's I still, of course, the first love I always will have
Yeah.
is Star Trek, But
Yeah,
honestly, by
absolutely.
watching this Clone, if I would have watched Clone Wars earlier, I would really probably get more appreciation to what Star Wars, this
Mm.
opera of space, was all about. To be honest,
Right.
because the Clone Wars really just delves into where it explains to you a lot, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that makes sense. Oh, you know, and
Well, and
unfortunately
I mean,
they do.
that's one of the genius things they did, right? Like with all of these
Yeah,
big universes, there's
yeah,
always going to be these gaps that you can in kind of the main movies where it's like,
yeah.
oh, we could tell a huge story in this wedge of a gap between episodes 3 and 4, whatever the hell it is, right? Like you can tell these other stories.
And the
It's pretty
quality of
great.
animations is absolutely spot on. To be honest, at
Yeah.
first it felt a little bit too unconventional because it
Yeah.
felt more like computerized slash maybe drawn. It depends because you can do mixed media stuff no matter. It's been a while now, but
Hmm.
after a while, it just blooms in your eyes. And of course, my favorite of Star Wars is always and always has been Ahsoka. And then I found out, like in the Clone Wars, you find out all about why and what's happening and how tormented she have to be because her master was Anakin, Darth
Uh-huh.
Vader. So you can
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
like, oh, so no, so didn't I not see him? Because she's
Yeah.
like at first she was a naive girl who was Padawan. They call it, I don't know why they call it
Yeah.
Padawan.
Yeah.
That's just anyway. So she was the Padawan of Anakin's, and Anakin is not the one to you should teach you because, especially emotionally, he's unstable.
Yeah.
Really unstable. I mean, he was manipulated in complete utter way. Even Obi-Wan Kenobi, it was like
Yeah.
pushing him towards the Chancellor, who is the bad guy at the end of the day. I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
spoiler. People watch the movies. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of interesting that part and how they picked voices who are similar to the main actors, but they're actually not. It's kind of interesting. Even they have the same accents and everything. It's just like, so it's really relatable to you if you watch the movies and you're a fan of the movies.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I'll check it out
Mm.
for sure.
Mm.
Shall we talk some comics?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I?
Why don't you give her? What do you got?
Well, I showed you what I haven't bought a graphic novel in a while. So because of this ginormous sticker,
Half price, yes.
I bought this Forever People by Jack Kirby.
Oh,
And I
beautiful.
really like it's a soft cover. But I like the way it produced, and the paper inside is really cool. And of course, you have the story because I don't have this whole run. I think issue 1, but of course, I never was able to get hold of this the first appearance.
Hmm.
And Superman was there in full flight, and the way it's actually really nicely produced as well.
That's cool.
One of
Water
the kind
paper.
of good feel to a the way it's been printed. This one, I don't know how much sometimes I heard that these kind of printings happy Sunday, Mr.
Hello,
Wall.
Gorvidal.
Hmm. And I really like the way it feels the paper. It's not that it just has the gloss to it, but it has that tooth, which is very much gives you a little bit more like old school feel to it, but not
Mm-hmm.
of course is new printed.
Yeah, like shiny and smooth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the way it starts the storyline, it is just like they appear out of nowhere in the middle of like, let's say, highway, uh, and freak the hell out of because they're supposed to have this boombox, which is basically gets them to the destination, and they get in the middle of like a road and petrifies the couple. I love the couple who's driving the nice that old school car, and they have to
Mm-hmm.
basically manifest themselves like to know nothing in order to pass them, but they get freaked out so much they basically go off the cliff and they had to be caught. And basically they start to like, and they having this conversation with them, like a normal conversation, and like they looking at them like, oh, who are you, these people? Like they try just to explain why they're here. And it's just it's really nice to see Kirby once, like I like Kirby no matter which way it is, and I didn't really finish. I was reading those couple of pages, and I really liked the way he was drawn Darkseid. And of course,
Mhm.
Superman, the way it's drawn, Superman is really beautiful. It's almost like I don't know. It just looks not a typical like this is Jack Kirby's face, yeah, through and through.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that kind of, like quite square faced and the really kind of bushy eyebrows. Let's say this way. But when you draw Superman, it's absolutely completely different. It doesn't feel like him, like a what is that? Swan, isn't it the one of my famous artist of Superman is? I forgot his name anyway, but it just
Oh
doesn't
God,
look
you're
like
asking the
him.
wrong person. Yeah, no idea.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's Superman is here and Darkseid is here. It's just it's something for half price, £10 for the brand new thing. It was on sale. Of course, I'm gonna get it. I was just like, oh, I have not finished. Yeah, Kurt's one. Thank you. I had the name Kurt in my mind, but I was like, maybe I'm not gonna say it because I'm so bad with names. So yeah, it's something I always wanted to finish reading because it's one of the worlds of the Kirby. It's always good to dwell into, and especially if you find
Right.
something on sale. I really like the color. It's a lime green
Honestly, it
color.
looks really nice on camera too. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks absolutely fantastic. The back cover looks absolutely spot on, and it has extras, which of course, that famous picture of his,
Yeah, beauty.
and also you have pinups of that dream girl who is the one they go this forever people actually going after because she's like
Right.
tells them what it's all about, and also you get extras, which is you have an explanation who Seraphim is, this cowboy boy,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and explains all the Pursuer, the Mark Moonrider, all those characters as well, which is
Yeah,
like
like the
extra
who's who
extras.
entry or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and also you have all the characters I explained to you, and then that really like, which is like gives you a page. Where is it? Come on, where are you? I've seen you before. What? No, you can't disappear. Sorry, we're looking for this. There's a black and white page. Why can't I see it now? Oh, I'm going bonkers now.
I
There you
got a hot take. I got a hot take.
go.
Kirby
Okay.
was pretty fucking good, hey?
Look at his pencils.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Do you see? Amazing.
Yeah, no, we totally see it. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy how good I mean, this kind of things just really reassure, like not reassures. That's a completely different word to use, but this is what I like about Kirby. This is exactly who I always wanted to look up to, and the ink, the works in here. So stories and art by Jack Kirby, inks by Vince Coletta and Mike Rower. Vince Coletta did really good inking anyway. Just gives you this little page here. So
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
The great Superman, Joe Shuster, and that all. For the love of comics, hello.
Hello.
I was watching a bit of your Wimbledon Green conversation you did on your live, so which is fantastic. Anyway, so yeah, I really wanted to completely read it. So
yeah.
Well, I think it collects it all. So yeah, for every people 1 to 11, so it's quite a good chunk for what original price is $30, but I got for half price, which is tenner, which is why I was like, I couldn't leave it. I was like,
yeah,
no, I'm
absolutely.
no, I have to. So yeah, I really like the lime green. I don't know, I've been into green color lately, so this is what's actually spot on, and the way it feels as well. It felt really good to get it.
That would be cool there, Chaos. Having a whole comic with a lettering just in the pencils, that would be pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm. It's a pity he didn't have more to it, but I really like his world, and as I said, like this Darkseid, man, come on, man, how awesome the Darkseid is.
It's really cool.
You can't get it better than this. So yeah, very happy about this.
Sweet. Sorry, did you say you haven't finished reading it yet, or you're?
No, I just those couple of pages I talked to you about how
okay.
I read the first issue, like not first issue, but not first appearance, but I read some of it, but I never had 11 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to basically read in the whole chunk and as I say,
totally.
I go to bookshops it never, like I never buy many things, but when it
Yeah.
goes on sale, if they have it, especially for half prices, so I can't say no. So
No,
at least
absolutely.
I had to have one. There was a Hawkman by who was it? I don't. One of the famous Hawkman DC's run as well, half price. But
Okay.
I already read it, so like, okay, there's no point buying something I've already read. So let's
Yeah.
buy something which I have not yet got into. So
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
mm, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So for something completely different, I had
Mm-hmm.
forgot that I ordered these actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's
Go
see.
on.
I have issue number 3. There's 5 issues total. It's this Vacuum Decay anthology
Oh.
put out. I think it's vacuumdecay.com, I think is the website. Harry Nordlinger, I think, is the kind of main brain behind this. One of the amazing things about this to me that was I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
7th damn printing of issue number 1. I mean, I don't think that doesn't seem to happen too much with some of these indie books, and I think it's incredible that
Yeah.
they've kept it. I also got a copy of issue number 2,
Which printing
and
is
this
that?
one is
6th.
6th printing of this
Wow.
one. So I think that's amazing. That's huge. What the hell is this? That's huge props to them for
Mm-hmm.
getting keeping this stuff in print. I think that's really amazing.
Yeah.
This is such a fucking good anthology. It is
Awesome.
so good. There's some legitimately kind of, they're not like, they're horror stories basically. So the first one here, this David Enos, we've talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
when I showed off the 2 mini comics that I have from him. One was the woman who is infatuated with kind of the nurse pulp novels, and the other one was his take on a Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing with this anthology is you get all these great indie artists. They've all got their own unique style, but I think, again, especially for a guy like me who's kind of steeped into the 80s and early 90s
Yeah.
independent books, this fits right in there because everybody's style is kind of in that wheelhouse. It's all black and white. And then this one here, speaking of Kirby, David Moses kind of has a little bit of that flavor, a little messier, but some of the stories, though, they're legitimately kind of off-putting. And again, I feel like as I kind of get older, I've got this thing about confined spaces and stuff, so there's some of
Yeah.
that in
Oh
here where I
yeah.
can feel kind of like the tension.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mike Diana makes an appearance in a couple. The infamous Mike Diana, the guy that was first. There's a great documentary on him out there that I have. I backed the Kickstarter many years ago. The
Mm-hmm.
first comics artist to get basically arrested and brought up on obscenity charges. So
Seriously?
I'm not a huge fan of his comics. This one is this one is good, I guess. I'm more interested in the story of him as a cartoonist,
I
and
see.
kind of what he did in that time in the 80s when he went through this entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the other standouts in this one? But I would agree with Rick Ray. This is one of the best ones. The one that boggled my mind, Christian Costello, who did that Wild. He does a 2-pager here. This
Oh.
was one of my favorites. Not much of it wasn't recognizable to me. I had to go back and look on the inside cover because there was no
Mm-hmm.
credits on the page for this one. This is a disturbing little story of somebody coming home and someone's going to surprise them, and don't
Oh, I
peek.
hate
And
that.
he's got this
I hate
skin suit
that.
on, coming walking
Oh.
out. So, what do you think? What does it say? So yeah. So what do you think is what he says, as he's got this woman's skin on? It's just creepy as shit, but a real surprise from the stuff in Wild, because this is very, very different. This one was creepy as well too. The Other Door by Michael Falatico, I think. Let's look on the
Mm-hmm.
inside cover. Yeah, Falatico. Beautiful stuff. Really nice style again. And just these people do this Airbnb, and there's a room and there's a light on in it, and you get the sense that there's someone in that room kind of peeking at them and stuff, and they just kind of get freaked out. Nothing actually happens, nothing violent happens or anything. It's more this kind of paranoia. And I think again, like the paranoia works really well. Like that image there is she's imagining what's in the room, even though she hasn't seen it. It's just so well handled as they leave. Yeah, I mean, this Cursed God is another guy that's in both of these issues and does the cover on the second issue. Sorry, highly recommended book. This was one that gave me the kind of intense feelings here as he's sent down this hole in the ground to kind of what we think is to get rid of these gophers that are burrowing, and the use of the panels here going from these pages to kind of smaller, tighter panels. And he eventually comes across, as he's kind of, it goes further and further. The focus doesn't seem to be working so well. Comes across this face poking down in here.
Oh my God.
And he's just kind of like, am I dead? No, but you're definitely in hell. And he really, so we're left with this kind of image, and just that idea really seeped into my brain of like, imagine being in these tunnels underground and crawling, like it's just off. It's just really unsettling for me. So great, really great stuff. Again, then another Cursed God one pager putting on someone's skin. So there's a little bit of gore, but it's really not that much. It's oftentimes just unsettling. Here's some Harry Nordlinger stuff. His style is pretty great. He's the guy I follow on Twitter. He's the guy that kind of first turned me on to that. Why does the shit keep popping up? I don't want to set this up now. Go away. The horror movie that I'm blanking on the title, Skinamarink. He's the guy that I guess he's a projectionist, so he ended up seeing it a whole bunch of times, and he was raving about it and did some fan art for it. So, anyway, finally in this one,
do you read it before the bed? This.
I read it. Well, I read it as soon as it came in the mail. Like it came the other day, the afternoon. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. I actually, for real, forgot that I had ordered it. This took a long time to get here, longer than normal. So I'm not sure if that's because it was a pre-order for one of them that was still at the printers. My memory is, I think that's what it was. So this is Jasper Jubenville, who's kind of making a name. This Dynamite Diva is his comic. There's a new Dynamite Diva coming out as well too. His style is really great. This 4-pager, I think it is, really nice stuff, especially when he gets into these smaller and smaller panels. He does almost this Joe Matt thing, but it's still very, very readable. It's still, you can follow it. You don't feel like you're getting lost in it whatsoever. I just like the density, how that looks on the pages.
I find those pages
fantastic one.
I find those pages just showing because the way this art style is, and it looks like more like a child kind of characters, and it's more and more disturbing because of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah. Seriously. So I got a new laptop and everything is just popping up. Hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? No. I won't go through all the pages of this one, but number 2, this one feels even beefier. Like these are big comics too, which is good because the price, $10. It's a bit of a splurge to get these plus the shipping, but I couldn't resist. And they're goddamn good stuff. There's a couple of new names in this one. Corinne Halbert being one, or Corinne Halbert. She did the Acid Nun book. I follow her on, that back cover is incredible on this one. Some of my favorite stuff for sure. Just to show that one again. She did that Acid Nun book. I'm not super familiar with her work. This one was a good little story as well too. Her art is pretty interesting. It's just great to see some of these pieces. Who do we have? Here's all the credits for this issue here. Some return and then some new faces. So, but you get a lot of artists. What is that? 9 different artists, I think, in this one. So beautiful. Oh, Acid Nun debuted in Vacuum Decay. Well, there you go. I had no idea there, Rick Ray. Good info. Yeah. So 5 issues, highly recommended. For those of you who live in the States, I'm sure like the Portland kind of crew and possibly the New York crew and that sort of thing, I'm sure that there's much cheaper ways to get your hands on it, where you don't have to pay that shipping. But like I said, it was a splurge, and I do want to get the rest of the issues too. I would like to get the last two. He also sells a bunch of original art. There's t-shirts and stuff and posters, and he sells a whole bunch of stuff on that Vacuum Decay site. So it's worth checking out and having a poke around. I would like to buy some of the original art that I've seen on there too. It looks really nice.
Do you think comic shops have that on shelves, or do you think he just sells it on a website?
I mean, some comic shops for sure. Yeah, I'm guessing that some would, but I don't know if this is something that's kind of through the general distribution, like the previews catalog and things. So I don't know how easy it is for shops. You'd have to have a pretty adventurous shop, I think, which is why I specifically like Portland. I'm sure Damien, these probably Polka show up in his shops there. Yep.
Especially looks quite freaky, even though it's in black and white. But all that, especially that.
He also sent me a couple of not prints. I don't think they're prints exactly, but he sent me a couple of extra things as well too, which was kind of nice. So just a little piece of art there, and then this piece as well. So it looks like this was kind of stuff that he had printed off that were kind of throwaways to some degree. So, but this looks pretty great too. So that was nice of him to, and he's got his own stamp as well too, which is always cool. I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. Seeing as I have mine as well.
Yeah. Oh.
I bought some Vacuum Decay at Floating World. Still haven't read them. Worth checking out for sure. It's very good stuff.
Did I see it right? It was the first issue, whatever the issue you showed first, was 2020 production line?
I believe so. I think it's a couple of years. Let's have another look.
So it's quite old.
Yeah, 2020 is the date on there. Yeah, absolutely, on the front cover. Let's see if it gives the... Yeah, May 2020 is when it first came out there. So yeah, a couple of years old already there. So 3 years old, I guess.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
So this week I was lucky enough to receive a package from my comic guy. So I was able to read comics. So, well, in floppy, whatever you think. Right. So I received the 4 and 5 issue of Batman Audio Adventure. And the story is getting better and better to me. Can you tell me one thing? Because now we went into origin story of our Croc guy, this little guy. Oh, yeah, I presume they would have, because they do tend to have quite a few things like that. Gosh Comics love stuff like that. Like something. Also, people are going for Gosh Comics YouTube for that kind of stuff to look for. So, so talking about this Batman, sorry, but now we're going back. But so these origin stories. So in this book, am I right that he became like this because of Hugo? So he was a boy. And because it says years ago, they're the boy, this is like absolutely petrified. And this guy comes to look at him saying, oh, don't worry, everything will be fine. I have this thing I'm going to basically put inside you. And I'm going to turn you into beast. And, oh, sorry, I didn't mention, but you're going to have to die first. And then you put him in Lazarus pit. Am I getting that clearly?
It seems to be for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since I've read that issue, but that's what I took away from it, that he was, but the thing is, remind me, in those, didn't he still look, he wasn't like a boy, like a human boy. He was still kind of like this creature-ish, wasn't it?
He was. I show you. That's the thing. Now I have evidence. Not evidence, but my this is how he was. Yeah,
there you go. That's right. Yeah.
See, I have this now.
Yeah. That's right.
I look through. So he was. So this is crazy. I mean, the way they telling your story, like it seems like all cartoony and stuff, but then the way they, like, a child being basically manipulated by this crazy guy, killed, and basically turned into this beast. But it's just the way it's drawn is absolutely fantastic. And I feel really sorry for him, and the way he's been met by like all bad guys, and always like Penguin met him and he started calling him a killer, and he's so unsure of himself. And now kind of understand how he is like childlike
Yep.
mentality, because he
Yep.
hasn't been a grown up, so he doesn't know any better. So he gets manipulated by having this figure of, where people just look at it and gets afraid of. And also I really enjoyed this story of the Penguin and Robin, how
Hmm.
Penguin is basically start to recruit Robin, and he did succeeded. But the way they have in conversation in here is really hilarious, to be honest. And it has a lots of story going on, but it's still very easy to follow, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think it's really well done in that sense, because of it, you don't get confused. Batman's going of the Ra's al Ghul and all the knife, or the sword situation, and these little people, and then you have
Sure.
Robin and Penguin going after. Who are they going after? Oh yeah, we're going after Scarecrow and all this little
That's right.
Jews they have created. So really good series. And honestly, and this girl, now we have element why he sees the girl. Now the girl he sees this doll, he actually saw a girl who basically he saved, but I think she died, and it makes more and more sense in it, and it becomes like this really involved storyline, which I really
Hmm.
like. And
Yep.
the more issues I start reading, like we released issue 5, I think issue 4 still was my favorite, but I really like the Gordon portrayal in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way he looks, and honestly, this is so much better than the Adventure Continues, in my opinion.
So much
It's
better.
extremely strong. The
Yep.
storyline is really has it's like a lots of elements, like Batman's detectiveness shines through quite a lot, like how he's not familiar with Ra's al Ghul and how he's basically trying to get to a chaos or prevent the chaos. It's really well done, and honestly, if you're a fan of this kind of like or Batman as a detective or DC universe in generally, and wanted to see by feel of it, like really kind of different take on characters. It really has its own kind of. It feels like its own universe, and is going really strongly. And
Yep.
I honestly absolutely love it. And then how they
Yep.
were protecting the people. And then she's like this botanists, and they going for the tree of life. And she's like, yeah, protect the scientists. And then they realize, oh, it wasn't the actual scientists. It actually, what they chopped is the tree, which was kind of hilarious, but and also kind of serious in that sense. So really fantastic. Honestly, people, if you haven't yet checked this out, highly recommend. It's something. It's just like a sleeper series to me. I think one of
Totally.
the good of the Batman series for sure. Especially if you don't want to follow the whole thing what DC's now doing with all the Batman. So just get this.
Right.
And
Well, and like you said, I think one of the great things about it is the writing. Like it's done
yeah,
so well to keep all those stories. Oh, look at that. That's so good.
yeah, a bit chubby more, but they had
Still
too much.
great.
They still had too much burgers in there anyway. It was
Right. Right.
hilarious the way the conversation. I really like that kind of Robin, who
Yep.
is really kind of like he's still childlike. He behaves childlike, but he has this
Hmm.
ability to kind of filter it off. Like Penguin is trying to sell his thing, and he does sell him, but he has this other idea of thinking how he's going to do it. And then
Hmm.
Hush don't tell the Batman because he's still a child in a way, and the adult is manipulating Robin to his own devices, but he's thinking that he's doing better for somebody else. So really good, honestly,
Well, in
fantastic.
that scene where he's tied into that chair, where he
Yeah,
kind of the reveal of like, actually, I'm not tied here anymore.
yeah,
Like I could have left at
yeah,
any single moment,
yeah,
but like
exactly.
that kind of idea, like you're talking about, he's just
Mm.
playing with them.
So
Like
yeah, this
yeah,
this creating team, like McNicholas
so
is the
good.
writer, and isn't Marquise the artist? I almost wanted to say, but I never can find the. Oh yeah, you go. So yeah, the writer is Nicholas, then it's McNicholas, Anthony Marquise, and Jay Bone are pencilers, and Jay
Yeah.
Bone is the inker, and Dave Stewart in the colors. Ah, okay. There you go, people. Just for colors. That's why it feels so really kind of good product of
And
this
there's only
audio.
two more issues to go, so it's
Mm,
only 7 issues. So
Yeah.
we're winding down on it. So hopefully
Yeah.
there's another one coming soon after that too.
Yeah, it's really good. It's
Yeah.
very strong storyline, and they continuously.
Yep.
It's never confusing, which is absolutely fantastic. And I really always
Yeah.
felt that they're trying to say too much in one issue, and you can't follow. And the scenes are really good. Like maybe page layout has worked really well. I don't know. I've never felt like, oh, I don't know where I am and why I'm
Hmm.
reading this and what's happening. So
Hmm.
really good product. Really do
Yeah. Cool.
enjoy
I'm
it.
glad you like it. That's a strong book for sure.
Yeah.
Um. So let's do. What's this here? No, not those ones yet. Let's do this one. So the book depository is gone. It
What
what is today? The 23rd. Yeah, book depository is no more.
is it?
I think they close on the 26th, I want to say, like a few more days. And they're
Seriously?
out of business. Yeah, yeah. I don't know the backstory. So I
Yeah.
figured I should get so it was my birthday recently. So this was
Oh
a
yeah.
birthday gift. What I thought
Oh.
was
Mhm.
the final 3 volumes of Thorgal.
Yeah.
It turns out there's 2 more volumes coming out. I think they come out next year when I was saying seeing online.
Uh-huh.
Books 24 and 25. Yeah, exactly. Good old
Mhm.
Amazon. So they're done for. As much as Book Depository for me especially, because they offer free shipping worldwide. I hate
Yeah.
to say it, but it is true. That is one of the things, right? I was talking to somebody online about it just the other day. This idea that there's not a lot of businesses can afford to do that, so you end up pushing out those businesses. But for me, getting my hands on this book is so fucking difficult. And when I do see it, like when I went to Toronto, the price was insane on just 1 volume of it. As much as I love the series, it was just way too much for me to pay. So we have a changing of the guard here with the writer. Jean Van Ham passed away, so this was
Mhm.
his last volume.
Oh
Now,
wow.
one of the things I'll say right off the bat is I know that the Cinebook has been kind of publishing these out of order.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there you go, Cinebook. I think it's my lighting is the shits in here today. Cinebook is the people that are publishing it, and they've been doing it out of order for whatever reason. So I'm not 100% sure that this was in reality the last one that he wrote or not. I want
Mhm.
to believe that it is. It was such a good story. I thought I might get teary by the end. I actually didn't,
Oh.
because knowing that it was going to pass on, like, I think he does an amazing job of wrapping up this volume and really handing it over. So
Mhm.
Thorgal's son Jolin has these powers because Thorgal is from this other planet. His son has his kids have these powers. They can sort of Jolin can kind of control them a little more, but he's having some problems. He does struggle with it, and when he does use his powers to, like, let's say, like, disintegrate the weapons in somebody's hands, it really, like, knocks the shit out of him. And he can't do much afterwards. He takes some time to recuperate, and
Mhm.
apparently that's only the tip of the iceberg for his powers. So by the end of this one, Thorgal is going to die, and he goes on this mission to save his father. And in doing so, he meets this guy, whose name, of course, I'm going to blank on, who says, "I will help you, but you owe me. You owe me your." And he's like, he not soul, but he's going to take him under his wing and kind of train him to harness his powers a little more. So he's like, at the first full moon, I'm going to come for you, and you have to kind of leave with me. You can't tell anybody. So he tries to escape in the middle of the night. And this is the final page, where kind of Thorgal hears him go, and they have this conversation about it. And he, it kind of says, like, yeah, you're of an age now, you have to go off on your own and kind of live this life. So I thought it was just such a nice kind of moment, considering that this is the last book that he wrote. Again, I believe so. I thought it was a really nice way to kind of end a chapter of this book and kind of hand the reins over.
Mhm.
And this new writer is incredible. He's also doing the 13 series that Van Ham was writing as well. So then we get books number 22, which is I, Jolin, and 23 Thor's shield. So they get sent on these missions. Basically, there's a group of 6 kids who are kind of going to be the chosen one. Sorry, 5 kids who are supposedly, oh no, 6, because there's one not pictured in there. So they're kind of like, they're going to kind of compete to see who the chosen one is for this this guy who looks kind of Doctor Doom-ish. Let's see if we can find a picture of him here that I'll show you. He's got the metal face. Doctor Doom / MF Doom. It's just like I could sit and tell you all 3 of the books, but we won't go kind of page by page. But it's just such a good series. It's such fantastic storytelling. Here's the one small shot of him there because I can't seem to find anymore. But that's this character here. He ties his history ties into the previous Thorgal volumes with characters that we haven't seen for a while. So it's just this really amazing epic that every single volume, even though there's been some volumes that have been a tiny bit weaker, even those ones are still really good because you get some nuggets of this kind of grander story and the challenges that they face. Like it's my favorite for a reason. Every single volume I sit and just love it. Love every single page turn. I love his art. I love Rosinski's art so much. It's just feels like it's getting better and better at every turn.
Well, but having done so many.
Yeah, having done so many, exactly. And then doing other work as well, too. I mean, like, just look at the faces and as he's climbing this tree. It's just stunning. But again, the stories are just clever, and it really does a good job of showing Jolan now that he's out there on his own, and we get a couple of volumes pretty much focusing on him. We just get a good sense of him as a character and what he's potentially going to grow into. So yeah, highly recommended if you can find it. Like I said, it's not easy for me to find over here in Canada. If I was in Toronto, it'd be a little bit easier, but then I'd be paying $25-$30 per volume. With the Book Depository, I think they usually were about $16, $17, $18 plus the free shipping. So even that little bit of savings allows me to buy a little more, right? So yeah, so 2 more volumes next year. Can't wait. Always very exciting.
I kind of feel bad because I can actually buy them from the Cinebook because they are UK based.
That's right. Yes.
And they're not pricey. So if you can't find those 2 last volumes, you give me a shout. I'll get them.
I may hit you up, next year
Yeah,
when they come out.
I'll send it to you, and it will become cheaper if you paid $18 per book. And the prices in here is £8 per book.
Oh, come on. Yeah, so like $16 Canadian. That's pretty damn good.
So yeah. So
cool. Yeah, I'll definitely hit you up for sure.
So yeah, then you don't have to think about if the Book Depository vanished, which is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah,
but yeah, really I understand the market is not easy anymore, to uphold the businesses and stuff like that. So
yeah.
Okay. So next one is my library book, which I decided, kind of curious because it's written by a comedian, a stand-up comedian, English comedian as well. I'm very familiar with him because, the telly and all that stuff. I used to watch quite a bit of there's this channel in the UK called Dave and have reruns of all sorts of yeah. And basically I've also because I watched comedians and I wasn't really aware, but apparently he has written 5 novels, which is I don't read that much novels, so maybe that's why I wasn't aware that he was doing that. But the guy I'm talking about, I'm trying to get the sleeve off so you can actually guys see his face properly, but wow, I'm not going to try to do it completely because it's the written sleeve. But the guy I'm talking about.
Good night for Love Comics.
Oh yeah, cool. Bye. Sleep tight. So this is the guy. Terrence, maybe you know him as well from the stand-up.
What's his name?
Mark Watson.
Oh, Mark Watson. Oh, fuck. Of course I know Mark Watson. He's the best, man. No more jockeys.
So Dan and Sam is his graphic novel written by him.
Oh, shit.
which I found out just like by picking up from library, because you know me, I pick it up something which intrigues me, and there you go. So this Dan and Sam story written by him, and Oliver Hurt is the artist of this. And this story, it's really surprised me how simple it at the beginning starts, but then it becomes more complicated, more fantasy kind of like, or paranormal like. Because we're following a couple, Dan and Sam, who has this restaurant, really small restaurant, which is apparently they were becoming like a talk of the town because of the quality of the food they were getting from, and the services they were providing. And we get introduced to a chef, his assistant, and of course Dan, and of course Sam, who is Dan is like both a host and kind of like a waitress. And they seem to be invincible. They're having time of their life. The critic comes to restaurants, even praising them. There's a queues, as you can see, there are like plenty of queues coming to sit down in this restaurant. And a narrator of our story is this guy. So he is the one who is basically comes into restaurants, eats their food, and basically criticize them. But for him, this little restaurant became kind of like a thing, because the way Dan and Sam make people feel, not only the food, what the quality of the food, but also about the owners of the restaurant. And as I say, this couple seem to be best friends, really life going for them, until one unfortunate moment, which is where basically the story really starts from. So they have people who comes into the restaurant and escapes without paying, and they start to look at it and making sure that they can catch those people, but unfortunately they couldn't. While Sam was trying to chase them, she gets hit by the car, and unfortunately she passes away. And this chain link has been torn apart, and it seems to be people who thought their life is just the beginning have had it all taken away. And Dan can't really go through it. He needs to go continue with business. His friends are trying to help him. The people who's working in the restaurant, his friends mainly helps him, trying to help him to try to keep the business open. But he doesn't understand how he can deal with things without Sam anymore, because she was his soulmate, like a best friend, a person who he can rely all the time, where he felt like they have so much time left to them, and he completely struggles. So and that struggles continues until one of the Halloweens he went to visit her grave. So he visits her grave every day, almost week daily. Cemeteries are closed most of the time, so there's people who basically close cemeteries. So the person who is there in charge, they keep on asking him to go away. And what he doesn't realize, and the way his book it basically changes to the way it looks now. So it's black and white most of the time, the whole story. But one day on Halloween, we start seeing the color, and to his astonishment, he sees the party going on in the cemetery on Halloween. And he cannot believe his own eyes. He sees his dead best friend, the lover, the wife, everybody, the Sam. And he's like, what is going on? Am I dreaming? Am I going nuts? What's going on? What is this? So the Day of the Dead happens, and because of this Day of the Dead, she's back, because he's completely like misses her, willing to see her, and she becomes kind of alive, and they can spend just one night of the year. She's back, being in his hands, and he's extremely happy until the night finishes, and he basically has to get on with his life again. So he struggles. He doesn't, how can I wait another year for this? Is she back? What's going on? This is this nonsense. Is in my head? Am I going crazy? What is happening to me? And it's continuously happening to him. So every year he struggles through a year, rips every single calendar, or that can't look in the calendar anymore. The time doesn't seem to go for him, until once again he goes back and have this day of night, and he basically completely and utterly tries to use as much time as possible to spend that one day in 1 year. So this narrator of ours, a critic, he's basically telling our Dan character to go to see psychologist or somebody to basically talk to, make sure maybe your head will be better, maybe you can move on with your life, because this is not going to happen. And she becomes somebody who is basically start to interest him, and without realizing that it's kind of like, he doesn't want to betray Sam, even though he knows clearly that she's dead, but he struggles in his own mind because he feels like he is going to betray her, because because he can still see her once but in a year, but how can you move on with your life or be alive or being yourself with just having that one night or day?
Right.
And the turmoil completely happens. How it ends well, but I'm not going to spoil it because I really enjoyed this. So yeah, really well written, really flown the story well. Surprising elements of that night, the Day of the Dead. How they use the cemetery the same way as you see in Mexico most of the time, celebrations happening. How lovely actually to see that kind of celebration, how we celebrate our dead, rather than we kind of like feel like really sorry for that. But yeah, it's really nicely told love story / a guy's unfortunate demise to a point where he doesn't know how to live anymore because of this, and how he made somebody who's supposed to help him to basically understand him, but in kind of turn he kind of finds somebody else again, but he doesn't know if he should. So because the only time she will appear if he completely willing to see her again, so he completely misses her.
Right.
And that's how she would appear again for him. So he doesn't know how to say goodbye and how to explain that to a dead person. That probably it's time for me to move on. So it's really well told story. The act is honestly not something I would say blew me away, but I really loved it right afterwards, because it grows with the story really well. So it kind of really becomes endearing to you as well. And I really like that too. Coloring, color and non-color storytelling, I think it really works, and it makes it less confusing to us. So yeah, surprised, to be honest. It doesn't doesn't scream nothing, to be honest, this cover.
Yeah, no, it totally doesn't at all.
Yeah, so it gives you that the back. But yeah, so I don't know, I gave it a shot.
Can we see the back again there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So she explains to him that this
Nothing much stands out about it at all.
Nothing.
The only thing would be knowing that name, that Mark Watson would be the only draw. Yeah.
And even me, me in names doesn't talk to me until I could have opened it, I realized, but I still took it. And I was like, what? Yeah. I know the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, from the telly, but of course, and I had to.
He's so good too. Yeah.
And I had to draw. So I drew narrator. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
So there you go.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I just had to, it's really surprised. As I say, you get surprised by the something you like always. You have to give a chance to something. It doesn't really look some bombastic, colorful, or just like right on the shelf. But I didn't see it again. So it seems to be some people maybe has went to library, has returned some stuff which I've not seen before. So it was surprising. It's like, okay, it's something about it I need to read about. So I just picked it up. So yeah, and I was really intrigued by the storyline. So really.
Do you know if he's written any more for comics or graphic novels, or is that the only thing?
The only thing it says in here that he's written 5 novels.
Okay.
And that he has this crazy radio series, which is actually popular. It's called Edinburgh Festival's Highest Achiever of the Times and blah blah blah. But he has a radio 4, BBC Radio 4, apparently. But I don't know how does he do it already again or not? But he does have his website, but I'm not really sure about it. Yeah. I mean, I know him as a comedian. He's quite quirky little guy when he speaks and makes jokes, and he looks like uncomfortable most of the time when he jokes about stuff. But he's really hilarious if you take time with him as well. Kind of comedian who you have to get to know a bit better, I think. but he's really funny.
His season of Taskmaster was really fun because
Yeah,
him and Alex Horn are good friends, like they've been friends
yeah,
forever. So that was a good
yeah.
dynamic on that season. And for the Love of Jockeys, you can find it on YouTube. It's free to watch. It's such a good show. It's Mark Watson, what's his name from Taskmaster, who I just said, and then their other buddy Tim Key. And
Yeah.
it's just fucking outstanding. It's one of my favorite. That was one of the shows that they started during the pandemic, and it was a weekly thing, and they would do this, pre-recorded live kind of game and stuff. So apparently they've done it live too. Like you could go and see them live to see No More Jockeys. So yeah, super fun
That's
stuff.
cool. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, but as I say, it's just like I wasn't aware of this other part of him, because stand up is what I knew him of.
Yep.
Because of while I was watching that, as I say, television, which I don't watch anymore. And I sometimes watch, he appears like in those kind of shows like Taskmaster or
Yeah, those panel shows and stuff.
Yeah, the panel shows, exactly. And it's funny to watch it because he brings up some of those one-liners and everybody's like waits and then laughs afterwards because not to understand this quirkiness of this. So yeah, it's
totally.
actually really funny guy. So
yeah.
So yeah, cool. It's surprising. Yeah, to have this thing published.
Very surprising.
And, written by him. So there you go.
Cool. For my, I think it's going to be the last one. Where did it go? Oh, right here. So this was one of the, I don't know, was it a 50-cent bin? Was it a dollar bin? Might have been a dollar bin. This is Washman number 1 from New York Comics. I think it's from our golden age. Yeah, it's from 1986. This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I got it because it just seemed ridiculous, this take on the Watchmen, and I love the back cover as well too, where it's kind of like the tile, like really playing in the suds from the washing machine. Really, and honestly, that level of stupid humor went through page by page. It was much better than it ever should have been. He does his 9-panel pages here to start off. That this is our Rorschach kind of character starting it out, but he owns a laundromat, and he's talking. He basically, the back cover is outstanding, Damien. People don't like me much around here. They don't like the way I do my job, but they keep coming to me because they know I can do it. This is a dirty town, one of the dirtiest, and nobody can clean it up like the Washman. And it's just outstanding. So this was I don't know if there's any more issues. The art is, again, like it's in that kind of 80s world. There's the Dr. Manhattan type of character there. So I mean, they kind of, he mocks every little thing about it. And here's our Rorschach. That's what he actually looks like there. The Washman of the book there. Super fun. I don't know if I have too much to say about it. It's not it's just a good little poking fun at I wish he would have stuck to the 9-panel grid though for the entire thing. Like I wish he would have stuck to it more rigidly. I mean, it's not like he still does. It's all 3-tiered and things, but I wish he would have played a little more with the layouts through this. So there's the comedian character of this book getting thrown out the window. So that's kind of what, again, just like in the Watchmen, that's what sparks his interest into trying to go back to visit his old team. At midnight, I could have been sleeping. So there's him all dressed up in his full suit. So yeah, it's really good stuff. Yeah. So did I say the creators? I don't think I said the creators. Let's see, where's their credits here? There's some backup story in here too, called Agent Orange Dossier. I guess, again, like that idea of throwing in some extra stuff with it. I didn't find this too entertaining. This was David Nacross, illustrated by Rich Barrel. But I'm not seeing credits for this first story here. Oh, no, right there. Same page. There we go. Brent Axel, illustrated by Alan White. So yeah, if this is a cheap bin treasure for sure. Yeah, I don't know if it's one that you'll go back to ever again, but and like Damien said, like that back cover is just fucking outstanding. It's so great. So fun
Yeah.
little book, fun little dollar bin find.
That's cool, man. That's hilarious, though.
Somewhere out there, someone who has read Watchmen but not Watchmen. Yeah, I guarantee it. Yes,
I
for
bet.
sure.
I
And
didn't
apparently there
realize
was a
there were.
bunch of them. I think it was Colin telling me about it at one point. There was a bunch of these kind of knockoffs that were put out around that time. I'd love to find more just to see what people did with it, you know.
Yeah. So I have a
Yep.
couple more. So should I just go for
Yep, go
each
for it.
of
Yep.
one of them? Okay, so I finally, well, not finally, but I got this.
Hey, oh sweet.
So finish the Usagi.
Yeah.
It's quite pricey for the first issue, $4.99.
Does
But
it look like is it double sized kind of thing or
no, it's
no?
kind of
Okay.
like a bit thicker, but I think I actually, to be honest, it does feel a bit heftier than usual. But this splash page is fantastic.
Nice. Yeah.
And I really miss Stan Sakai's Usagi, to be honest. And
Right.
this first, this is the beginning of the story. Is we go with Usagi, of course, and he's ready with his lord in charge to go after somebody, and they come across this town where settle a little bit, try to strategize to go into the main siege, and they have this the villagers are telling them or Usagi that basically they have this Nakai. I think that's how we say it. I say it. What is it? Kappa, sorry, well, completely wrong. Kappa is the bad guy. Is the soul, I guess, or creature which in the river, which basically drowns lots of people or villagers in that town. And he's like, I know you know, we just peasants. Nobody cares about us, but we really need help. And of course, Usagi being Usagi goes into the room where everybody's strategizing and making sure everybody knows where we're gonna go. He goes to his lord and says, like, look, listen, I want to go and help those peasants. And the lord says, like, okay, you have only until nighttime to sort it out. And of course, his other friends decides to join them, and they're going after this Kappa. To the solution, the Kappa they met is this creature here, and it's basically a telltale sign to what how turtles were gonna come in place, and it jumps afterwards into a turtle scene. So they are in New York
Right.
in this daytime in this the time. Not all Usagi's time, and they're doing their own thing, and they have these lovely panels, absolutely fantastic. They're going about this guy who is basically from the future and is doing all sorts of shenanigans. Mr. Weirwen, that's his name. And then basically they battling them. They have nice, great scenes of battle. And of course, because he's such a clever robotic future man, he's going into a time machine to escape. And basically, you get turtles to jump into a time machine as well. And not really a spoiler thing, but this is how they're gonna get to see Usagi.
Right.
I won't spoil the last page because that's basically a telltale sign. But it's like typical turtles, like hurry up, come on, man, like 5, 4, 3, 2, kind of one, and they flash and they jump. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I mean, it's very. Look, it's not a groundbreaking storyline, but after not having Usagi for so long and him doing turtles in the same time, and see how he's gonna kind of play those two creatures together, those creatures in generally together, will be interesting to see.
Yeah.
How it's gonna basically round up the storyline. I really want more Usagi from Stan Sakai. I'm becoming such a kind of like more of the like fan than anything else because of it's so happy, even though it's about things happening, but just having that is so reassuring, knowing that what Sakai is going to do. And a bit more maybe uncertain to what levels he's going to take turtles and them, because honestly, I've not read him because, you know, like I have, as I said to you previous week, I've not read the full original run, so I've never seen
Mhm.
Usagi them because he
Uh-huh.
did partake in those series. So I don't really know how everything will happen, but no
Mhm.
matter which way it's gonna go, hopefully I'll enjoy it. But so far, you know, just having them together, it's just doesn't matter. If I get whatever, it's just continuously having this. And of course, to be honest, I really enjoy color. You
Yeah.
know, I do understand people
Yeah, it
reading
looks
original
really
in
nice.
black and white, but in color, it's just I don't know. It's just because of those color series from
Yep.
RW I was reading, I still continuously really enjoying. It has that like really good feel to it, and all this, you know, the dress ups they have, you know, it's really kind of like kind of you can see it in the pages, really nice. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick it up, all those 5 issues, and I'm really never disappointed, like I say, because as I say, it's if you don't have overly stupid expectations of what Stan Sakai can do Usagi, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you know what Stan Sakai does it, you know,
Yeah.
and kind of if you're familiar with Ninja Turtles, surely you understand why they're gonna be there. Hopefully, why, but not kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's not gonna ground break the story. It's just gonna be enjoyable. That's the whole point
Yeah.
about having this. Enjoy it, you know, like have fun with it, you know. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just like I say, I'm such a bias because I enjoy it so much. So yeah, and
I'll just do these before because I don't have much to
yeah,
say about them. I wasn't going to talk about them,
yeah,
but since
yeah,
you're talking turtles, I did
yeah.
read issue number 2 and 3, and these are with the what are they, the rat bots, the
Mhm.
rat catcher bots. I can't remember what the hell they called them now.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
I'm still really loving it, and I mean, like you were saying, like I love color as well too. But there's something again, like the
Oh
thing
yeah.
I love about these stories is that kind of gritty black and white. And it
Hmm.
continues to be still really damn good. I didn't read issue 5 because honestly, I kind of want to wait until I hunt down, even if it's a beaten to shit copy of number 4.
Paper.
I kind of
Oh, you
want to
don't have.
wait until I can find that issue to. I'd really like to read these all in order, if at all possible. I know that's not going to be the easiest thing to do. I'll
Yeah.
do it as best as I can. But so this is kind of April O'Neil
Yeah.
getting into the story here, who's on the cover here, this beautiful Richard Corbin
Oh
cover for
wow.
whatever printing this is. Third printing, fourth printing. I don't even remember. Third printing, I think. But right from the get-go, kiss your butt
Hmm.
goodbye. It's a great kind of intro page, right? And again, a nice little bit of editorial from the
Yeah.
fellas talking about the creation of this one. And you can see them kind of starting off fighting around in the house and things. So really just solid. I don't have much else to say about it than other than that. But then here's issue number 3. So they've captured Splinter. This
Hmm.
one has a really good kind of car chase scene throughout,
Nice.
which I remember when they talked about this issue on the Kayfabe channel, they were talking about how kind of
Hmm.
difficult this was to, because it took a lot of planning. As much as they wanted to do it, when they actually did it, it became like a holy shit, this was a lot tougher than we thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
because you kind of have to do a lot more planning of what the surroundings are, where they're going, how they're interacting with other vehicles, so
And
pretty fun.
especially they don't have internet where they can see the car in every angle, and they only said that they have seen the car once and they took what picture of it or something.
That's right. Yeah, just to
Exactly.
get that.
Yeah.
And what is it? Did Eastman say that he hated drawing cars? I think is so. Hey,
Yeah.
why not? Why don't we just do a car chase issue then? Like
Yeah.
I hate drawing cars.
Hmm.
There's a couple of Corbin issues of Turtles. I don't remember off the top of my head what issue numbers they are, but there is a couple when they started getting other artists to draw some issues. He did do a couple, and then he did a color insert in one of the issues as well too. I don't
Oh,
remember what copy it was. I showed it when I first got them. I just don't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, like I said, not too much to say about those because it's just damn good stuff. It's just a lot of fun to read.
yeah. It's as I say, it's just. But the thing is, I also say to you one thing: black and white in that printing, no matter which printing it is so much better than reprinted black
Yeah.
and white. And that's what
Right.
what's the whole point of me. So if you get Usagi Yojimbo original comic printed, I bet it will be 100 times better than you reprinted black and white copies.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to say. I always because
That
I'm
makes
getting
sense.
that new, freshly printed comic, and it's in color, and that's why I do enjoy it because of that time and printing. And I think, like we were speaking about before, the paper makes a big difference. It ages. It looks
Huge.
different. It gives you a sense, and then you
Feels
see a
different.
fresh.
Yeah.
The white of the paper is the enemy of black and white color. I think in some ways, especially if you're not as good at it. You know, some people are amazing, no matter which paper they draw it on, black and white. It looks bloody fantastic. But I think that's the whole point of it. How you get introduced to something, you know, like Turtles, if you're introduced to black and white, and from the beginning, of course, this is going to be something you always want to see like. But I never read Usagi Yojimbo in the original format either. So I got to kind of like get into Usagi Yojimbo really late, actually, because of the Damon probably and all other YouTubers who keep on raving about Usagi Yojimbo. And I was like, why I'm not reading this? Why? I know
Jared Osborne and crew. Yeah, they would always rave on their Friday show as well too.
Exactly. So I was like, why the hell I'm not reading it? How stupid. And then you see these amazing hardcovers or when they come out and you don't pick it up because it's in like 5th, 6th issue, like edition of hardcover. And then they sold out in 5 seconds. And you're like, it's like because of this, you know.
Yep.
I also picked up something new because I don't really like the writer. I picked up the only one issue because of the artist, because I haven't seen him in a while. And I'm talking about this. The Ambassadors.
Frank Wiley.
That's why. So Frank Wiley wasn't doing a lot in comics, I think, or recent ones at least, or I didn't think. And I was like seeing, I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of Mark Millar.
Oh, really? Hey, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because of the way it goes, the way he writes the story feels like a little bit. It can be quite entertaining, honestly. There's some stuff I read there I actually really enjoyed it, but it really feels like he is, doing it Netflix, and his name is like Netflix things like created by Mark Millar at Netflix. He's actually creating these comic books, not anymore anywhere else, but at Netflix. Headquarters anyway. So I just picked up because I really like Frank's work a lot, and this one definitely didn't disappoint me of the art style, of course. And I just, I'll show you the page, and that was a stunner. This face is bloody fantastic.
Oh wow.
But look at this page. Just like Quarterly, you're doing it
great.
again. Yeah. So I really, basically, I read it. I did read this one for sure. I enjoyed it. It's you have this idea of creating a Superman or creature who can be like Superman, and they're talking about that the world has been trying to create a human who has those powers, and nobody was able to do so. But South Korea, a couple scientists, female and male, have decided to play around with that, and they created she created it, not him, but she created him. She created herself being a superhero, and she comes out like that. Who that person is, I'm not going to spoil. It's kind of just fresh comic, and I presume it's been in second printing that already.
Okay.
So because like people like, quite, like Mark Millar is going to make money.
Yeah. And especially with the number ones, yeah.
So and there's lots of, and she becomes this like Superman creature, yes, and then she goes into she's being produced everywhere. Her face is plastered everywhere in the world, and she's saying, pick from each country, pick one person. You don't have to have any special powers, nothing, but just one person from each country come to me, and I'll make you superhero. And then you need to choose who is that going to be. So and and it's kind of finishes in that sense. But there's a little bit more to it. So as I say, I'm not going to spoil it. So yeah, it's kind of like really, I mean, it's good action kind of packed comic book, but like she's looking for ambassadors, and like 8 billion people, six six, only 6 people she needs to choose can have superpowers. Who do you choose?
Hmm.
So basically decides to manipulate people's and powers how to become like Superman. It got extremely violent at the end.
Oh yeah.
Do you want me? I mean, it's a spoiler,
Yeah,
but
sure.
if you
Yeah.
want,
Yeah.
if you want
I
me
mean,
to,
I'm okay. I'm always okay with a bit of spoilers.
yeah,
It's no big
this
deal.
this is the last 2 pages of the comic.
Oh, snap. Wow.
Absolutely, and it's the guy who's sitting in the bar, and he's just
Oof.
having this conversation. While he's having the conversation, this happens to him. Yeah, I will have a look if I want to pick up, but honestly, I really miss Quietly, and Quietly does
Yeah.
work a lot with Milan together. And he, knowing Quietly, and Quietly's run of Superman, that one. Lots of people has read it as well. It's one of the best
Yeah.
things, and I really like
One
the
of the
way he
best
draws.
All-Star Superman.
Yeah, All-Star Superman, exactly, and I really like the way he draws them. I was kind of intimidated drawings. That I really like stoic figure looking Superman. It's kind of like you can't really see all this page here with the where you were explaining how we try to have actors to pretend to be one, and then it didn't work because all the special effects wasn't as a you could see it in the
Right.
like in the video, so it never worked. So this got scrapped, and because of the no other ones, or like America, especially presidents, has agreed to do so. So yeah, it's really quite interesting, intriguing. As I say, it's intriguing issue number 1 for sure. But honestly, my draw was because of Quietly, and I kind of miss him having to be in the comic book format. So
Totally.
and I did attempt. Honestly, I don't know if I like it, but this is my attempt of
Oh
Quietly.
yeah, that looks great. Yeah.
Anyway, not as good as I think he does, of course, but this is just my.
Well, I mean, he's got something special going on. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my gentle. The panel I'm talking about, I picked from because I really like the expression of the guy when basically the plane is crashing. That's the part.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I know. So my humble attempt to do Quietly, because that's not really easy to do so.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. So because he has those like lines, like it looks very very scribbly, and it looks really easy when it's not colored.
Yeah.
Or at least looks easy because
like very minimal. Yeah.
Yeah, look, just like nothing. There's not much going on here.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult to even think of drawing that way. In the way of sense of how to basically be. But that's his style. So of course he is gonna be doing it for how long now?
Right.
That's why I really enjoy his art generally, because of the ability of what he can create on the pages. So yeah, so I had like, okay, I'm gonna buy number 1 issue if I can, so I kind of got the memo quicker. Otherwise, because it's already, as I say, going to second printing, so people are already.
Was the last book that he did, was it also with Mark Miller? That what the hell was that fucking
Magician? No,
wasn't it a superhero book that he was doing too as well with him?
With that family.
Yeah, right. Can't remember what the hell it was called. I think I might have read one issue of it.
They did TV series.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah.
With this, like, it's basically smash somebody's faces and like
right.
The first, I don't remember the name now. I don't know why I'm blanking.
Neither do I. Someone's gonna say it in the chat, I'm sure.
Probably. And no, not Empress.
No, that's not one. That's not the one I'm thinking of either. No.
No, it's the family of them. They not family. Well, yeah, it is a family of them. It has to be. And they they aged and they had kids, and the kids were becoming really bad, and the parents were like pissed off because the kids weren't doing it. A second, there's 2 runs of it. There's first run of the series where the parents were in the full limelight, and the second series we came back to with the Miller. Yeah, Jupiter's Legacy.
There you go.
winner.
Good work, Victor.
With
Hello,
Susan. Thank
Victor.
you
Thank you very much.
for our
Also,
like
a hello
description.
to G as well. First live floating comics. That's awesome. Glad you could make it to see live.
Very good.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming. And then I finally have it.
Yeah, you got it. Hold on, let me get mine. It's right here. I have it sitting here for this very day. I knew this day was coming.
I never thought I'm gonna receive this, to be honest, because this I don't know what you felt about it, but I felt this
I loved it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't have no expectations. I did not know why she's calling it Vulva Viking and all that stuff. But like always, she's just like, it starts with like, okay, what is Connie's? And I was like, well, maybe I don't understand something. And then she tries to explain, and this page is saying, the book is or any portion thereof may not be reproduced or used in any manner whatsoever without express written permission. So this page is hilarious as well. The way she's doing it, everything fantastic. It's really well done. Has this nice cover and stuff.
It's beautiful.
And it's yes, it's smaller. It's pricey for what it is, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you know what? She's hilarious. This fun girl is
so funny.
Yeah, and she's like sitting there working for this corn dog factory, whatever place, and she's like bored, and she calls a friend, and they have conversations like, and she's a nurse, and then you see that like bleeding a person for her, and she's talking on the phone, and she's like just so funny. And then the guy comes to complain about this corn dog and starts like doing this in front of her.
It's wet and soggy, and frankly, I don't want to put it in my mouth as he's wagging it. It's just, it's so goddamn good.
She picks up those moments where it's just great, and she gets whacked. So, and I was like, oh, who she gets whacked with? Did you get confused? I thought that's a girl, but because maybe her art style.
I did as well too. Yeah, no, I absolutely thought that. Yes.
You know what got me confused even more is this page. Because you know that from the what is that movie?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, So, but it doesn't really matter who she's going with or everything. But then you realize it's a guy, a skater guy with long hair, and this
she's
couple
fantasizing.
And then this couple like we always want to have a moment. We're about to do something, and she comes in through the door. Oh my god, guys! She gets so excited. Imagine having that roommate. Oh my god, that would be nauseating for me. But she comes in, I was like, stop whatever kind of thing you're doing. I have this thing to do. How I'm going to do this? I haven't done it for a while, something like that. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. And then she goes back to that workplace because she got sacked because of the way she's treating customers. And she's like, okay, like I feel sorry for you. Kind of, you go back to have work and stuff like that. And it's just so good. And what she does to this guy. So she has this moment of bliss kind of thing. Oh my god, we're doing this. This is fantastic. She's kind of like floating in the air, and she's basically really going for it, the guy. And it's like, oh yeah, and then the crack. That's just so much fun. It's just, and then she's like, oh my god, I killed the guy. And the way he looks, it's just the most hilarious thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And she runs away. It's just, and that's why you have ridiculous. You have this page. So honestly, guys, it's worth every penny. I don't know what the hell she's doing with this character, but she picks, I think what it is, she picks really good moments, when to do it, the jokes, the expressions, even though the characters are really nothing, to be honest, to draw about.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
There it is.
And
she's just such a like, you can see kind of the panic, like, again, this simple kind of art style that she's got, but it's still incredibly expressive. Like, that panel is so incredibly expressive. You can feel like that she's just an absolute child in this adult kind of body. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, worth every penny, honestly.
Yeah. And
That's
and no matter what the book is, like if you can get the collection, I'd say start with that from Silver Sprocket. But honestly, anything you
yeah.
can get your hands on is completely worth it.
Anything
So
I've
funny.
got so far, it's
Yep.
hilarious. And then how he accused her of ruining his life because he's the influencer on Instagram, and because he
Yeah,
was
yeah, that's right.
influencing because of his beautiful looks, and she basically
Got a
destroyed his
vagina
face.
face now, basically.
Yeah, this one, that one there.
Yeah, yeah.
I honestly, it's so much fun. I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a spoiler, but yeah, I highly
Ah,
recommend
that's
people.
okay.
Yeah, honestly, if you want to have a laugh, you will have laugh. It does that. It just makes you smile. You know, it just always makes you smile. You know.
Dun, da, da, da.
So basically, it's her origin story book. You know, it's gonna make us
Right,
money,
right.
parents. If this is gonna come
Uh,
out in the cinema, we're gonna be rich.
yeah,
We're gonna,
exactly. We're gonna be rich,
we're,
bitch.
yeah, we're gonna be gonna send our kids into college because of
Yeah.
this origin story of Bulba Viking. I'm
And then
not
again,
strong
look at her
enough.
face in that. The
Yeah.
body, like the posing here is unreal.
Mm,
Has a real Pete Bag kind of look to the way
yeah.
draws the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Really, really expressive. Very, very cartoony.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm so glad that again, like one of the bonuses of Free Comic Book Day. I never
Yeah.
would have heard about this if not for
Well,
that Free Comic Book Day issue,
well,
right? Like,
and then I wouldn't have heard about it because you wouldn't have mentioned to me about
yep.
it. And then I got that free comic book day copy, and it was bloody fantastic. Can't still
Yeah.
forget about it. Still, but this panel is so fantastic. Wow,
Yeah,
the
so good.
Viking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this one. She's
Yeah,
like
so
so
great.
strong. Look at me. Ooh, she's like, finally, I have something I can be proud of, kind of thing.
Right.
She's
Right.
like, and that's my take on
Oh, hold on. I'll get closer. Hold on
that's
a sec.
my cover page take on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I have to, of course, I have to draw. It's not as easy as it looks like. Once again,
Path for pure spousal irritation. Yeah, just don't let her read it. It's such a funny,
oh
funny
yeah, yeah.
series.
It's so tiny, Damon. You can hide it in your jacket pocket for sure. Nobody's gonna
Yeah,
see this one. It's so nicely made.
hide it,
It has this
hide it in
gloss.
your sock drawer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it has this gloss to it as well. It's
yeah,
fantastic. It's so
yeah.
funny.
It's beautifully produced for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, to compare people to the comic and the way it looks, the size.
yeah,
There.
yeah. Tiny bit smaller there. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's well
But
worth it.
I've got it all handy here, so if you can find it, like if you can find this
So
collection, this Fun Girl collection,
yeah.
it's totally worth it. $30 US. I mean, a little pricey, but even like the red end paper or the edging there on the paper, but you just get a really nice thick chunk of Fun Girl that's worth it. And then there was also this issue as well too. You Are Revolting, which is comic sized. And I loved this one as well. I mean, again, like there's nothing bad about any of it, but her design, this Elizabeth Pick, rather, we should be crediting her properly.
Yeah.
Her draftsmanship or her art style, this character design is so fantastic. A real talent for making that simplistic style work so well.
I can't find that hardcover anymore because I'm stupid.
Oh, really?
Maybe because they didn't have that many in print when I was looking at. I mean, Amazon has it, but Amazon is the last place I will go. I'll look somewhere else before I go to Amazon anyway.
Right.
And that comic cover one, the last one you showed, I don't think I can find it anywhere. I mean, I can probably find it if I would have gone to comic book shops, but I can't.
Oh, I thought you had that. I thought you had that issue. Sorry.
No,
yeah.
like when you showed that one, I was asking my comic buy, and he said that he doesn't have it anymore. Because it's niche. It's very niche for him. And he only buys it because if you ask. So now he knows that I like this. I I bet he's gonna just keep an eye on it, because make sure that, if it's coming out, I will be the one buying it anyway as well.
Well, and I
Because he has
think
a
like
couple of
Silver
people.
Sprocket is in the previews catalog now too, or has been
Oh
for a little
wow.
while anyway. So I think
Okay.
that also makes it easier for comic shops to get
Mhm.
that, because anytime I'm looking for something, like if I just send him that previews code or whatever that code is, right? Then they don't have to do anything and they just type it in and get it, right? So maybe that'll make it a little bit easier for him. But I don't know if that hardcover is still in print or what from Silver
Mm.
Sprocket. I'd like to think that it is. I feel like they're a company that tries to kind of keep up with that stuff, So
I haven't seen the bookshops. I've been looking around. I mean,
yeah,
in my area, but that's
yeah.
quite small, to be honest, in comparison
Yeah.
to other places. It's not big city or something like that, anyway. So, but and I
Maybe the
knew
next
the
London
website
trip we need to
online
hit
which
Josh.
had it, and it was cheap in comparison to whatever else. And I was like, keep on passing it by, because
Yep.
there's always something else to buy,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I was like, now look back again, and it's like, oh my god, stupid, out of stock now. So I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
have to make an extra effort to basically look for it. But yeah,
I mean, from what
it's
people were
such a
saying in the
fun.
chat, what people were
Mhm.
saying in the chat and seeing that For the Love of Comics, I mean,
Yeah.
that Gosh Comics on your next London trip, maybe that's worth doing a dig. It feels like that kind of place would probably
Oh
have
no,
something.
they would probably have it for sure.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. If you want something like that kind of, like where not everybody will buy it, Gosh Comics will
Yep.
have it for sure, because that's what people but Londoners know that place for that kind of reason.
Yeah.
That's why they go in there to get that kind of stuff for
Right,
sure,
right.
because they're not afraid to basically have it on the shelves. And yeah, we've been planning going, but we keep on like,
Yeah.
because of
Have
all
you
the
ever been to that shop in your London visits? I don't remember
oh
if you've talked about it.
Gosh Comics. I used to
You
when I
have.
was living in London, I used to go there, like while I was collecting comic books. And that time, every single
Yep.
time we went to London, that place was
That was
one of the places I always visit, because it's walking distance as well. Quite a bit of a walk,
Yep.
but you can walk, so you don't have to take any transports, and you can go from Gosh. It depends which way you want to go, but you can go from one to the other one and do the other one, like like how you kind of
nice.
do the routes. And I think when Damon came, I think I basically didn't I took him to Gosh Comics. I wonder if I didn't. Maybe it was too far away for walking anyway. But
right.
Yeah, I would have taken him there as well, because the Orbital comic is the number one, which I go. And there's like basically you can go Forbidden Planet, Orbital Comics,
Forbidden Planet. That's the other name I was trying to remember. Yeah.
Then Gosh Comics, and then there's it used to be another one, but apparently they closed, so there's no more. But those two is usually the biggest ones who get the most traffic in London ones. Oh yeah, there you go. We went to Gosh. Yeah, of course we did. Yeah, I wouldn't have passed that out. It's just it's one of the shops you have to go if you're in London and you like your comic books. You have to go there. So check it out. Yeah, because they have like two levels.
Oh,
the upper level is all collected editions, and the down level is all the comic books, like floppies and stuff like that. And people usually pick up their pulls, and they have these walls of the original art while you're going downstairs. It's kind of like really nice little shop for sure. So if I do, when I will, hopefully I will soonish enough. If I do go that way, I'd make sure I make a video as well. But
that would be awesome.
Comics did it as well, so he kind of had a feel of it.
I've watched his video about that. Yeah, showing some photos and stuff.
Honestly, it would be nice like to take anybody there, because those two comic shops are. Because the Orbital comic books, they have all European stuff. They have in the room for European stuff.
Come on.
You just go in. There's this entrance, and it's just European or somebody who's low, like a small print area, so you can buy all that stuff. Of course, not everything is available, but you have your European comic books rack where you can just turn and you have all that stuff. And I bet
that would be buying a new suitcase for me. That shop, by the sounds of it, I'd have to buy a small carry-on suitcase that I could just fill.
And then the main floor is basically comprised of collected editions and comic books as well. And then you have those like free, generous walls of the good stuff, kind of thing, those first appearances or key edition comics and stuff like that. So yeah, it's lovely, honestly. And they have, of course, the toys section as well, and they always had turtles. I used to look at them like I kind of drew like
Yeah.
now I'm going for comics, not turtles. Or that I used to run
Right.
away as quick as possible because it's right by your entrance. And you're
Yep.
like, oh my God, no, don't do this to me. I remember the first time I went in there, I was like, my husband was like, oh, I'm waiting outside. And it's like, he had to go inside. It's like, why? What's taking so long? I was like, I can't stop looking. Because I'm lost. Because
Yeah.
you know, when you see too much and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you get scrambled head. So the best way to do it used to be for me to actually have a list of where I'm looking. Because I used to
Mhm.
like, I'll go those shops and I was like, what did he came here for? Why I'm here? And
Yep.
of course, the beauty part of it, when they have sales, those places are booming, like the people, and you usually kind of new people, also like fresh blood who doesn't understand what's going on there. And they also Orbital Comics, for example, they used to be doing the 10 copies of, let's say, Doctor Strange collected new ones in the bags, and you can just buy that as well. So quite good
Oh,
places.
wow.
And the Gosh Comic Books had all hardcovers you want, and you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. And like, why so many?
Yeah.
It's like I can't pick. Well, yeah, so it's fantastic. And you have the table spread where it's the new stuff of your unconventional collected editions, and you're like, okay,
Mhm.
cool, that's just, it blows your mind. And then you also have sales, and if you do, like, you get stuff there. But like all comic book shops which have sales, you go like crazy, like a
Right.
candy shop, and you're like, oh, I don't
Oh,
know what to
absolutely.
pick. And then you
Yeah.
go like at the till, and you're like, oh shit, how much you gonna ring up? And like,
Yeah.
maybe I just overdid it for a little bit. So
Especially a new shop. Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing. You can
mm,
get carried away pretty quickly. You
yeah,
said something that triggered something in my head, but I can't remember what the hell it was now.
yeah. But yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, I know what it was. Speaking of the
oh,
Turtles toys, have you seen the new Turtles figures?
what the ones the
I
Gore
think there's
showed
I think
us?
there's I'm guessing they're new. I saw them in one of my comic shops. Oh
Or
my
the
God. They look
you mean
fucking
the
amazing.
Stranger Things?
I don't know. No, I don't think I don't think so. Let's see if I can
So
find
so
go
I
ahead, I'm
saw
listening.
this action figures. So
Yes.
you have Leonardo or Michelangelo, I don't remember which, and you had Stranger Things. So you have two figures, and
Yes,
apparently
I
you're
think
gonna
I
come
know
up,
which ones you're talking about.
and they're gonna come up with comic book as well. So Stranger Things and Turtles will be appearing in the same comic book. I don't
Right,
know what
right.
that brought up. Why? What was going on? I'm kind of confused. But apparently that's coming out. But did you see the Gore Vidal's statue thingies that he showed of the turtles?
I sure as hell did. Yeah, that
Oh
email.
my God! When I saw,
Unbelievable.
yeah, I was like, oh, I
I'm
looked
trying
it
to
up.
find
It's like 150 pounds per statue in here.
Oh, really? Hey?
Mm.
Yeah, I'm trying to find images, but I'm not finding
So
the
which
ones
ones?
that I saw.
Who's is it like?
That's the thing. That's the thing. My knowledge of this kind of stuff. I don't know what company it was that was putting them out. I just remember seeing them on the shelf at Galaxy Comics,
Mm,
and they looked beautiful. The packaging looked beautiful. Everything. Again, like you, I'm the exact same way. I can't help
yeah,
but look at the toys, even though
uh-huh,
I just can't keep
uh-huh.
going down that rabbit hole. But I'm always drawn to seeing because there was some new Ren and Stimpy figures as well too, and
Oh
I'm a
wow.
huge fan of that show, and they're pretty sizable. So I was eyeballing those, and it's just like, oh
Mm.
fuck, I can't be spending my money on this shit. Like I can't,
So far, the
but they're
best
nice to look at.
turtle action figures, if it's action figure, not like statue stuff, but so far the best action figures for me is NECAs.
Oh yeah,
NECAs are really kind of like going for the comic kind of related look as well,
yeah,
and they always sell out quite quickly as well because they used to come out with two figures in one box.
mm-hmm.
It was like really lovely and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But yeah, it's a loophole I don't want to really go into because it just
Yeah,
becomes like another one where I'm just gonna go absolutely mad, and I'm just like I can't
yeah.
really.
I got no more space up there too. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. That I
Hmm.
use as kind of like my mental. I can't buy anymore. That's it. There's no space. So
Well, you
therefore
can.
I can't do it, even though that doesn't mean anything. I could just find other space. But I try to use that as like my barometer. Sorry, you've used up all the space. It's like the comics, even though I've
Yeah.
got boxes. The idea was that anything that didn't fit in the cabinet's gone. not the case. I'm surrounded by fucking boxes still, like you can't escape it.
Oh.
Addicts.
I have those figures above there, and then I have the ones that I have there, and now my son is absolutely. Making my son completely obsessed with Legos. Oh, I got a Doctor Strange Lego just for me.
Hey, nice.
I don't have it here, but I supposed to. I was thinking I'm going to show it to you, but honestly, it's just because it's Doctor Strange is another, and like, and I do like Legos. Don't get me wrong. So yeah, I got
one last thing to talk about before we kind of end the live portion of it. I was talking about that Tundra sketchbook series.
Yeah.
And I looked on eBay. Thanks to Russ Works. Sorry, I completely blanked on Russ's name there. Russ Works reminded me in the comments of this place called eBay. And I hadn't looked there in a long time, because usually when I look at eBay for those, because I found the Rick McCallum there before on eBay, but it's one of those cases of like, to buy the comic $12, to ship the one comic $25, and it's like, no fucking way, I'm not. So I went and had another look. This is the stuff that I just don't understand. I found a guy in France selling it. He had a few Tundra sketchbook series. I bought 2 from him. It cost I don't know, about $8 Canadian to get 2 comics to come from France to fucking Canada. $8 shipping. Whereas if I go across the border, one comic $25 to ship. I guess I just don't understand. There's just something that I'm missing that I just don't get, why it's so goddamn expensive. But that's all to say that I did find the Rick McCallum Tundra sketchbook, and it's on its way to me. So hopefully it's here in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait. And even Russ was saying in the comics that he's like, out of the McCallum stuff that he has, he said that's probably his favorite bit of comics from Rick. So I am so excited to find that. And I bookmarked, because he's got a few other Tundra sketchbook series. And when you favorite something, all of a sudden I got these offers from the guy to lower the cost of each of the comics by, I don't know, like $1 a piece or something like that. So I was browsing his store last night. I don't have the money right now to buy anything else. I just can't afford it right now. But I kind of saved him as a favorite seller and went and kind of put some stuff on my wish list that he's got. He's got a pretty good selection. He's got a ton of European stuff and stuff in French. That he's got a ton of bande dessinée stuff, some amazing, but none of it is in English. And some of it, honestly, I bookmarked a couple of them because I would like to see it, even though it's not in English, because I want to see them in person. Because there's stuff that like Earl Grey has talked about in the past and raved about that I would just like to see in person. But he's got a pretty decent little store there with a nice selection, especially of like the independent stuff. Lots and lots of books. So yeah,
that's cool. I'm glad you found it. Yeah,
that cheap from France. Unreal. Goddamn fucking gangsters that are running the postal service in the States. They want their cut. You know, because there's no way it's $25 to send one comic. What are you, nuts? And it's I just don't kind of understand, I guess.
Cool.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, there you go. We've got a winner.
Good work, Donald. Yeah, there you go. I think you're gonna love it.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. It's just those moments, as we say. It's just she's really good.
Yeah, just
really
stupid,
good at it.
It's stupid fun. It's really just stupidly
it's just,
fun. Yeah.
If you want to have a laugh, open it up, read a couple of panels. You'll have a smile on your face for sure because of those expressions she's pulling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool. Well, there we go, everybody. We did it. Under 2 hours. Wow, an hour 57. Thanks very much for hanging out, everybody. It's good to see you in the chat as always, and we'll see you next week over on Rasa's channel. All right, later, everybody.